Today, I have the privilege of speaking with Ricardo Islas. He is El Come Ojos in the upcoming feature, The Last Matinee. How are you doing today?
Great, and you?
Not too bad. Tell me a little bit about your character, and let's get to know a killer.
Well, the character is the product of the sick minds of a couple of filmmakers in South America, Maxi Contenti and Manuel Facal, who wrote the first draft of the script, and they decided to create this character that is like an homage to two genres mostly, giallo and slasher. Uh, Giallo, you can see the gloves all the time and the shape of the killer without seeing him. And a slasher because it's relentless and it's killing people all the way until the end of the movie when you have a final girl that hopefully survives him. So from their imagination was born this character, and it seems to be that the director, Maxi Contenti, when he read the first draft of the script, he thought that I could be a good fit for it, based mostly on movies that he had seen that I made in South America back in the 80s and 90s when I was there. And when he was a kid coming up, he saw those movies and he thought, well, this guy, if he's still if he's still around somewhere, he could be a good candidate. They contacted me, and that's how it happened.
What do you think makes this character unique from others, or do you think it's more of an homage of just kind of a mixture of a variety of that we've seen in the past?
Well, I think the character is unique in the sense that normally you have either a slasher when you don't see him all the way, and at the end, maybe like it happens with Jason in Friday the 13th, they might just partially uncover the face to see some kind of zombie or creepy monster briefly in the last 5 minutes of the movie. Or it's a giallo, where the killer is also unseen until the last 10 minutes or so. And then when you see the killer is another one of the characters that you saw before. It's like a whodunit. And then usually a nice looking guy or a beautiful woman. And then sometimes those giallo lose impact once you see the killer. However, in this case, you have like a combination of both genres. That's what makes the movie unique. And therefore, when I read the script and I realized that the killer was showing his face almost halfway through it, or a little after halfway through it, it turns into a completely different subgenre. It's like
Right.
the two. So I had to compose without any dialogue, like in a slasher, because in giallos they do talk, but like in a slasher, I had to compose this silent human monster that carries the movie towards the end. So in that sense, I thought it was pretty unique, and it was challenging as well.
Yeah, I think you did very, very well. I was talking with Luciana a little bit earlier, and she was telling me about how all of the effects that you guys use for the film are practical. How do you what is the process of preparing for a scene where somebody's life is taken, especially if you're using different tools to make it look very realistic?
Well, there's a combination.
I think you're muted.
Is credible. In that regards, we had on set more than one stunt coordinator that helped us do this safely and incredibly. But also there's a very technical aspect that comes with this special effects on set, which is what you're referring to. So it's like you do all the wide shots and the action shots first, where all the fighting and everything happens, and then the rest of the night you might be just standing under the rain trying to slit a throat that is not a real throat, and that becomes very, very technical. So it's a like we were saying before, the movie is a combination of two genres. This is also a combination of action-driven scenes, action-driven movies with very technical gore done on set, the old style, which takes a lot of time to get it done. But we had a great team that really succeeded.
Obviously, the film is an homage to cinema, to horror, and I wanted to ask your opinion on the thought of it being all taking place at a theater. a place that I think after watching this film, I kind of started to reflect a little bit on how intimate people's experiences are in cinema.
Unfortunately, because of the pandemic, I haven't been able to see this movie on a theater yet. But what I've heard is that when you see this movie in a theater, you really feel like it's a continuation of reality, especially in some of the shots. The way that Maxi Contenti and Benja Silva, the director of photography, decided to shoot this, it's very clever, because you don't have the shaky camera running after people all the time. The camera is there for you to discover the action. It's almost like a set, the camera set that is wide shot, and you have to find what's going on. So when you have the camera positioned in the back of the theater and you see the theater going forward, it becomes a very, within the theater experience for the audience. So from the design standpoint, that was very, very creative. So I'm very, very clever. So I think, yes, this is like the Cinema Paradiso of horror, somehow. I know that there are other precedents like Demons and other movies that are made or The Blob in the 50s that take place in the theater, but I think none of these examples really use the theater as a character. Here, the theater is a character, and when the theater towards the end becomes red because of a blood splatter on the projector, that's a touch of genius. It really is, from the photography team and from the directing standpoint. It really is something else.
I really, yeah, speaking of the cinematography, I really enjoyed the fact that it didn't just stay in the theater room. We saw some of the aisles, we saw the stairs, we saw the projector room, we saw behind. And it really made me think of some of the experiences I've had sometimes in theaters, where you go maybe on a matinee hour, of course, and you don't really see employees really. There's one guy maybe walking over there. You're in a room almost by yourself or with one other person, but it's almost lonely and creepy. And really start thinking, and so like you mentioned, seeing this in theater, yeah, it probably would add another element of horror that it turns your theater into a character like you're mentioning.
And yeah, I'm still hoping that one day I can live that experience, because with me being an old timer, I grew up in big theaters like that. My discovery of films was through these huge theaters, and it's something else. In places like that, I saw The Exorcist, and I just scared the bejesus out of me, because in part because of the character. The movie theater is like a character, and it absorbs and pulls you in. They were completely dark, also something that this movie rescues also from reality. Those theaters are not like the micro theaters we're used to going now. They always have the exit signs here and there. Those once the lights went off, it was just you and the huge screen in front of you, and all your demons came loose. When that happens. So yeah, this movie definitely shows all of that.
When you play a character like the eye eater or como ojos, how do you decompress after a shoot?
Well, it's I was talking to Maxi about this, and it was a very physical experience. This is not the kind of character, but also in the time that you have to make it happen, this is not the kind of experience where you internalize the character to the point that when you wrap, it's still in you. Thank God. Okay.
Right.
This is actually, you have the action in front of you, and you train yourself almost muscle by muscle to do what you have to do, and that includes your face and what kind of facial expressions you can keep up, so that long enough to be scary and creepy. And that's what you do. It's a different method. So I wouldn't really say that there was a lot of decompression after wrapping each day. What there was is a lot of sore muscles and tiredness and all of that, because it was physically demanding. It was really demanding.
I gotta ask you, what was the prosthetic eye, or the prop eye that you ate?
Well, we had a wonderful team in special effects with Christian Gruatz from Buenos Aires, who has created some of the best animatronics that you see in South American publicity and films. And he was with us all the time, and he created this prosthetic half face with the eye hanging, and you know, and I had to just cut through it, and there was, of course, I had tubes all over, and it was pumping blood. All of these things now are done digitally mostly. I don't think it comes even closer to not only to what you see on a screen when it's a real practical effect, but also what does to the actor. Because I had the eye there, and I had veins hanging, and blood was flowing through, you know, different tubes on me, and it helps a lot with the performance. I mean, I tip my hat to you know, Scarlett Johansson, because she's hanging on a green screen all day, and it looks good and it looks credible. I don't know how they do it, but for me, it was easy. I was soaked wet in blood.
Phenomenal. Ricardo, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. I enjoyed your character. I enjoyed the film. It was a great as an homage to cinema, and also for me, a Latin horror film, which I enjoy quite a bit, especially South American horror. I've discovered that there are many gems out there that people should be checking out, like this one, The Last Matinee.
Thank you.
Hope you have a good one. Take care.